Gunned down on a Beirut street, assassination of Lebanese cabinet minister plunges the country deeper into crisis. Hello, I'm Darren Jordan, and this is the Al-Jazeera News Hour on the day Lebanon witnessed another political killing that threatens its fragile peace. Coming up in this extended programme, live from Doha. Blaming Syria, the son of murdered Prime Minister Rafik Hariri says the hands of Damascus are all over the killing. Pleas for calm on the streets of the Lebanese capital. Will be live from there with the latest.
I'm Rida Fakhri in Washington. We'll have reaction from the Americas.
We were shocked by this assassination. We view it as an act of terrorism.
The United States calls on all countries to support the Lebanese government.
I'm Felicity Barr in London. Horror and condemnation in Europe, but also determination not to let Jamal's killing damage Lebanon's democracy.
Prime Minister here.
Hello, I'm Jane Dutton. It's an attack that leaves Lebanon in turmoil and has brought condemnation from around the world. Pierre Jamal, the country's industry minister, has been assassinated in Beirut. Gunmen attacked his convoy as it travelled through the district of Sin El-Fil. He died later in hospital. The killing brought thousands of Lebanese onto the streets, united in anger at this latest turn in Lebanon's deepening political crisis. Over the next 60 minutes, we'll be getting reaction from across the Middle East, as well as London, Washington and the United Nations. And we'll be analysing the events from our news centre here in Doha.
Jane, thank you. But first, let's have a look now at how events unfolded. At 1600 local time in Beirut, we received our first reports that Pierre Jamal, Lebanon's Minister for Industry, had been shot in Judaidah, a Christian suburb of Beirut, and was rushed to the city's Mar Youssef hospital in Greater Beirut. 13 minutes later, a Lebanese security official announced that Pierre Jamal had died from his injuries. At 17:20, Syria released a statement saying in it strongly condemned the killing. Just after 18:30 local time, Amin Jamal, father of Pierre Jamal and former leader of the Christian Phalangist Party, appealed for calm. Then at 7:25, the Lebanese Prime Minister Fouad Siniora said that Pierre Jamal's death will make the country even more determined to set up an international court to try the suspected killers of the late Premier Rafik al-Hariri. Mike Sullivan's been following the day's events.
The gunman struck as Pierre Jamal's car drove through the streets of Beirut's Sin El-Fil neighbourhood, a Christian suburb. The vehicle was rammed from behind, the assassins stepping out of their car and delivering a hail of bullets at point-blank range. The minister's bodyguard was dead on arrival at hospital. The assassin's main target, Jamal himself, died later in the same hospital, where his grieving father, a survivor in a family that has suffered many violent deaths at the hands of political killers, appealed for calm.
I call upon those who love Pierre to respect his martyrdom and to maintain his cause, the cause he was martyred for, to join hands, serving our country Lebanon on the ground. I repeat my call: no violent reactions, no exchange of accusations.
But hardly had the echoes of the shots died away than Syria was being blamed for the killing. The motive, say its accusers, being to reignite the deep hostilities between the anti-Syrian majority and the pro-Damascus opposition, led by Hezbollah. While in Syria, always the first suspect in Lebanon's long list of political killings, the official news agency announced that Syria strongly condemned the killing. Jamal himself was a critic of Syria, a member of the Christian Phalange Party and son of the former president of Lebanon, Amin Jamal. His uncle, Bashir Jamal, was killed after being elected president during Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982. But whoever was responsible for the killing, it will tip Lebanon into even greater tensions. Hostilities within the government have been on the edge of spilling over into sectarian violence. Some reaction to the shooting has taken the form of an assumption of Syrian complicity. Others have confined themselves to deep apprehension of the effect it will have on existing Middle Eastern rivalries. Michael Sullivan, Al Jazeera.
Well, the assassination of Pierre Gemayel comes with Lebanon already deep into a political crisis. There have already been a spate of cabinet resignations. Most of those were from Shiite party Hezbollah after talks to give them a greater say in the government broke down. The resignations mean one of the three main religious communities is no longer represented in decision-making as Lebanon's constitution requires. Indeed, Hezbollah, the Christian leader Michel Aoun and President Lahoud have all said the cabinet is unconstitutional and all decisions this week were illegitimate. One of those decisions was the approval of an international tribunal on the killing of Rafik Hariri, the former Prime Minister, an issue that is further dividing political opinion.
The international reaction to the killing has been swift and strong in its condemnation. Jordan called it heinous. The European Union's Javier Solana said it was cowardly. Others called it an act of terrorism. Sebastian Walker reports on unanimous anger.
Confusion and grief in the corridors of the Beirut hospital where Pierre Gemayel finally succumbed to his wounds. Supporters of the Christian minister had rushed here as news spread that he'd been ambushed in the Christian areas and shot dead in the street. Minutes after the killing, one of Gemayel's allies addressed stunned supporters.
A quarter of an hour ago, they shot Pierre Amin Gemayel. They're carrying out what they promised to do. They want to kill every free person. They want to start a sequence of assassinations that they promised. I want to tell you there's nothing left to say to this murderous group. God is great.
The killing is certain to raise tensions in a country already handicapped by sectarian division, and Lebanese leaders were fulsome in their condemnation.
I call upon the Lebanese. We are not be intimidated by the perpetrators' hands, regardless of their nature. We will not leave our fate or destiny, the future of Lebanon, in the hands of the perpetrators.
Everybody should stand hand in hand, otherwise the whole of Lebanon will lose because of the catastrophe.
Even Syria's state news agency condemned the killing as a crime aimed at destabilizing Lebanon. US officials agreed.
We are confronted with what appears to be yet another terrorist assassination in Beirut. It's a very great tragedy. Certainly our thoughts are with the family of Pierre Gemayel. But this also makes clear that we have to support the democratic forces in Lebanon against this politically motivated assassination. This is not the way to change a government.
George Bush said the death was Syria's way of fomenting instability in the country. And Washington's allies were just as outspoken.
Of course, the negative role of Syria in Lebanon is not something new or top secret. And only a few years ago, the international community succeeded in taking Syrian forces and Syria out of Lebanon, but clearly they are trying to be involved even now.
As condemnation poured in from around the world, in a city which is no stranger to high-profile assassinations, the most important reaction will be that of the Lebanese people themselves. Sebastian Walker, Al Jazeera.
Well, the murder of Pierre Gemayel is the latest in a string of attacks on outspoken political figures, all of whom were fierce critics of Syria's role in Lebanon. The most well-known was the assassination of the former Prime Minister Rafik Hariri in February 2005. He was killed along with 22 others by a truck bomb in Beirut. 4 months later, Samir Kassir, a journalist opposed to Syria's role in Lebanon, was also killed in the capital by a bomb in his car. The former Communist Party leader George Howie suffered a similar fate a few weeks later. In July, the Defense Minister Elias Al-Mur was targeted by a car bomb in the Christian area north of Beirut, although he managed to survive. But Gebran Tueni, the editor of Anahar newspaper, a known anti-Syrian publication, wasn't so lucky. He was killed in a car bomb 5 months later. An unknown group, Strugglers for the Unity and Freedom of the Levant, claimed responsibility. All of them, apart from Rafik Hariri, were also Christian.